What's going on, everyone? So we're back with Digging Deeper. Well, I guess third one for this series, but I'm not sure. I think we're on episode 6 altogether. But we're here to talk about blue today, and what blue can potentially do after Rally to War comes out, and even what it's doing right now, and what other colors will be working well with it. So, jumping right into this, blue is probably the most defensive color that we have seen so far, and just allows for some slower paced games. So if you're a control player, this would probably be the color for you. I do think mono blue will be able to function at least better than mono green would, but I feel like blue does have some decent synergy with other colors, letting it be able to be played with some other cards. And yeah, I mean, I think this is a really great color. Definitely one of my favorites. I'm not as much of a control player as I used to be, but this kind of captured me for some reason. I was a big fan of Mystical Hunters, if you've been following all of my videos. But anyways, yeah, I'm going to quit rambling here. But, for example, we have Keeper, which I talked about this in the yellow discussion video, but Keeper is just an amazing card that, with 5 endurance, it's going to be able to block and then take another potential attacker down with it, resting it, so that they can't attack, and allows you to push in on your next turn, provided you have the attackers. I mean, in a mono blue deck, maybe it might be a lot more defensive, just kind of waiting for your opponent to run out of resources. But this just really stops your opponent from playing pretty much, like other cards that we have, such as EMP. EMP is an amazing ambush that prevents all the creatures out of fort from attacking and letting you push in, unlike Dragon's Presence from the yellow tribe, I guess. But yeah, that card is good in the sense that it stops you from attacking, but it doesn't rest them like EMP, and I think that's why EMP is such a great card. But then, that's a card that you can play on your opponent's turn. We also have some stuff like Dismantle, which you can play on your turn, while being able to draw a card. So just being able to replace itself is kind of cool. And then its Fort Burst effect isn't as great, but you do get to draw 2 cards. So in a slower paced game, having more options is probably going to be pretty great. So these are cards that are found in Mystical Hunters, which is where blue is kind of a more dominant color. But we also get to see some of its defensive stuff in a slightly more aggressive deck, like Alpha Dominance, where we were given All Guns Blazing, which is a higher cost spell, but it's well worth it, because it's an EMP on your turn. So, after playing around with this card, I do think the 6 cost is worth it. It does allow for it to be played as a game winner, essentially, and when it's hit as a Fort Burst, it has a really big impact on the match. Being able to rest one of your opponent's cards, and essentially leaving them defenseless and or without the last attacker. But some other defensive cards that we have are Tomar and Telios the Erstwhile Guardian, which is the Sphinx card for those of you that aren't quite as familiar with the names yet. But Tomar is an amazing card because it could potentially steal your opponent's 6 roll and replace it with your 1, giving you that extra defense in terms of a Drago shield while leaving your opponent defenseless. And then this also opens up some gates. If you would play it with red, you could use Toe Stabber Goblin to deal that 1 damage to the Drago shield, and if they don't have an ambush there, they've got no defenses, which allows you to push in with this more defensive deck. So we've also got good offense in terms of Zero. Zero Mecha Warrior is an amazing card that can't be blocked and bounces a card back to your opponent's hand if it does attack. And it has 7 endurance, which is pretty huge. So you can use it to attack, and then on your opponent's turn, you can flip Reverse Thunderstrike, standing it, and then blocking with it. And if it's Drago crossed, it's gonna have 8 endurance, which means it's not gonna die too much. I think Terrax would be the only thing to kill it. I think that's gonna be the only thing that actually gets over it stat-wise. I mean, something with Deadly would be able to kill it, such as Undying Executioner. But there aren't too many things that can destroy Zero. But this deck does shine brightest in a deck like Mystical Hunters, where we do have yellow. As I said in the yellow video, yellow-blue is pretty good, but we get some offense in terms of Logras Swiftblade, which blue does kind of lack in. We do have Ambush and Tide Chaser, but I can't recall any other low-cost effect monsters to say. But then yellow also gives us Axion, which is both an amazing offensive card and an amazing defensive card simultaneously, simply because you can attack with it at one fort, then when your Drago Shield's destroyed, flip it over to another fort and block. So this is a really great card, and blue and yellow do kind of have that synergy that a lot of these cards are lacking in until we get some future sets. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of this down below. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and follow me on Twitter. And also be sure to check out Dragoborgle and the Facebook page. And as always, thanks for watching.